What did you not, and you can be, I want you to be as extremely open and honest. What did you not like about working at that marketing agency?
Yeah. So their clients were mostly retail focused. So I was working on clients like Party City, Michael's Crafts, and they burn you into the ground. They literally have a sign in the main city hall. It says "Welcome to the machine."
They literally burn you in the ground. What does that mean? Give me an example. Give me a snapshot of what that means.
Okay, so you're there at 8 a.m. Don't you dare leave at 5. Don't you dare be watching the clock and leave
Guard
at 5.
your desk.
Yeah. Okay. So I worked in the social acquisition room, and it was kind of a fish tank. So there's like all these glass walls, like kind of like this here.
Yeah.
And it was the focal point of the agency. So that anytime they did agency tours, like you had to have your desk filled. If you were in a meeting, that meeting doesn't really matter. Like you need to be in your desk. Or so you need to go get someone from another department and have them fill your spot. If you're going to go anywhere on the weekend, you better have your laptop with you. I took my laptop on the freaking boat.
Wow.
Just in case I needed to tether to my phone and like turn on a campaign.
They just expect you to work absolutely all the time.
All the time. And in the department I worked in, and it's so funny because my boss now is actually like one of my good friends, but back then I hated her, and it felt like the Mean Girls group, and I didn't fit in. It was very cliquey. Yeah, it was a grind. And so, if we're talking about like mindset, right? I'm like 22, about to be 23. I'm like, you know what? I think this is like teaching me a lot. I think I definitely want to run my own business. I have people and friends coming to me asking me to make a logo, run their social. Like they know what I do, and they just think that expertise can be applied to them, and maybe it can. So maybe I'm just going to look at this as paid education.
Absolutely.
And I saw other people starting to do the same. Like I remember being so envious the day that like she wasn't necessarily my boss, but she was in between me and my boss. She left and started a marketing consulting company with her twin sister.
Good for her.
Yeah.
And how long after that did you leave?
Shortly after.
Nice.
Yeah.
She had the balls to do it, so I'm going to do it now.
Well, I got this $100 handshake basically from, my husband, then boyfriend at the time. We just started dating, and we were having the time of our lives. I was on the boat all the time.
Yeah.
We're like going to the Bahamas and fishing and just living the life. And he went to naval architecture school, and a lot of his friends like moved down to Florida that's where you go if you work in boating. Okay. So a few of his friends worked at Contender Boats.
Okay. And
we go down to visit one of the friends, and one of the guys is the marketing director at Contender Boats. And I'm 23. Like I'm not. I'm here to have fun. Let's go drink. Like I want to get on the boat. AJ's like, hey, Jordan right here. He's director of marketing at Contender. I'm like, okay. He's like, yeah, they haven't posted on social media in like 6 months. And I'm like, okay. And he's like, they haven't. And I was like,
I get it.
And I was like, hey, Jordan, like
that's so funny.
I do social media marketing. Okay, they're still our client today.
No.
Yeah.
10 years later.
Yeah. Well,
7 years later.
Now.
8 years later.
7, 8. Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And
so who was your first client?
That was it. That was my break. So I remember sitting like on my lunch break.
You're not
in
okay.
the other room.
Have you started your company yet?
I had an LLC because I was.
But you were still working there.
I was still working there.
Gotcha.
And
I will tell people this to the day I die. Don't quit a job until you have something else going and running.
No, that's the best piece of advice I've ever received as well.
Because like when we were doing meal fit, I was working at the church. Now I wasn't making anything. I was making $20,000 because I was part-time. But I'd started making a little money doing the meal plan thing. And I had gotten to the point where what I made was quadruple what I was bringing. Now, granted, I was bringing home $20,000 a year because I was part-time. But let's just call it 40. So I was making double what I would have normally made. I was made about 80 that year doing the meal plan thing. And I tell people, like I had a buddy, guy sucker made $200,000 a year, and he quit. I'm like, hey, dude, what are you going to do? He's like, I don't know. I'm like, are you crazy?
Do you have cash reserves?
No doubt. So I tell people this all the time. If you got something, you hate your job, you got something you want to go find and start doing that thing, because you'll learn a lot doing that thing. And then also, it's not a safety net. And you hear people say all the time, burn the ships. I'm not going back. No, don't. No, think practically. You got to pay your freaking bills. Mm-hmm. Because if you've got some financial security, you can be more adventurous, you can be more creative, and you don't have to make the thing right now. You don't have to sell your soul.
Right.
And it sounds like that's what I did. It sounds like what you did